This is the Energy Makers Show, featuring the innovators, financiers, and policymakers focused on the global energy demand. Brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And here's your host, Paul Dickerson.
Hi, I'm Paul Dickerson, and welcome to another episode of the Energy Makers Show. First up, Jamie Stewart, president of Surefire Industries, a company experiencing some amazing growth in the manufacturing space. Next up, Robyn Knocke, principal at Power Angels, this consulting company helping expand and grow energy companies in Texas and beyond. All that right after this.
Where will the energy come from to move us forward? From natural sources in abundant supply, or perhaps a man-made source? At NRG, we believe innovation will solve our energy needs. That's why NRG is moving away from fossil fuels towards wind, solar, and other sustainable technologies to power the smart grid, the electric car, and our clean energy future. We're using all of our energy to develop more of it.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now, back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Paul Dickerson.
Welcome back to the Energy Makers Show. My guest now, Jamie Stewart, president of Surefire Industries. Jamie, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you, Paul. Glad to be here.
So tell us about Surefire.
Surefire is a joint venture company. We partnered with a Canadian firm, Surefire Industries, out of Calgary, Canada, about 18 months ago to manufacture pressure pumping and coil tubing equipment in the United States.
And 18 months doesn't seem like a long time, but tell our viewers what you've achieved in those 18 months.
Our very first year, we went from 0 employees to 435 employees.
Incredible.
We delivered over 200 individual pieces of equipment to about 10 different customers. We established not only our first location for manufacturing, but our second and third locations for manufacturing. So it's been a very busy 18 months.
Well, describe to us what it is that you're manufacturing.
Our primary purpose is to manufacture pressure pumping equipment, which the buzzword out there is hydraulic fracturing. Okay. So our equipment is used in the completion process when drilling a well. They want to bring it online. They fracture the well at thousands and thousands of feet beneath the surface of the earth. They form micro fissures, cracks in the well bore, around the well bore, right, so that oil and gas can drain into the well and out to the surface.
And is it, at the fracking location, a single piece of equipment? Can you describe what it looks like?
So it's actually very many pieces of equipment. It varies by location, but there are the pumps. The pumps are the horsepower that are actually doing the building the pressure to create the cracks. There's the blender. The blender is mixing the slurry that the pumps are pumping. Sometimes you'll have gel manufacturing equipment out there. You'll have a lot of high pressure iron and hoses, and then the command center or the data van, which controls the entire operation.
All right, so this pressure pumping equipment, can the customer really tell the difference between one manufacturer and the next?
Absolutely. Components differ from one manufacturer to the next. Engines differ. For example, Caterpillar makes an engine, Cummins makes an engine, MTU makes an engine. Transmissions differ. The transmission can come from Allison transmission or Caterpillar transmission or Cummins transmission. The pumps differ. So you really can differentiate component-wise on a pressure pumping unit.
Now, we've all seen the energy industry go through its ups and downs, and we hear a lot lately about how natural gas prices are down and how that can affect some of the services and manufacturing industries. How has that affected things?
It has dramatically impacted our business, and I say that because the big boom that we experienced in our first, say, 12 months of business was due to the fact that the price of oil and the price of natural gas were very high, making it economic for E&P companies to go and drill wells to produce more gas and produce more oil. Since that price of gas has come down, many of the shale plays that are producing primarily just gas are no longer as economic, so they are not drilling near as many wells, which means they don't need near as much equipment anymore.
Well, and it takes some sophistication to be able to plan for the booms and also to plan for some of the troughs. because it isn't the old days, right, where you had a year to kind of ramp up and ramp down.
No, with the information age that we're in, people know when times are good and they want their equipment as quickly as they can possibly get it, and people know when times are bad and they all want to stop taking delivery of the equipment as quickly as they can. It's the nature of the information age.
Well, you don't grow from 0 employees to over 400 employees if you haven't figured out how to differentiate yourself within the market. What differentiates Surefire from other manufacturers?
Two things. One is we're hyper-focused on the customer and their needs and helping them differentiate themselves from their competition. That's been lacking with the companies that have been in the business for a long time. They want to build exactly what they build and build it over and over again, which doesn't do much for differentiation of their customer base. But we want to actually address what the customer wants, what the customer needs. We want to look at it from a basin by basin perspective and figure out what is it they need in that particular basin. So we customize, we listen, and we try to execute based on a customer's need. The other piece to it is the aftermarket service after you sell the equipment.
Right.
And many of the manufacturers are very focused on building the equipment, but they're not focused on servicing the equipment after they have sold it. They just want to keep building more and more. We have established our first and now working on our second service center location so that we can service not only our own equipment, but service everybody else's equipment out there as well.
Well, and your focus on the customer isn't only just on the U.S. customer. Do I hear right that you're looking around the world at other international customers?
Yes, as you might imagine, we were focused on North America primarily during our start because it was a very fast start. So the closer to home you can keep everything, the better that you can keep your customers happy. But now that things are slowing down in North America, we are focused internationally and leveraging some of the customers that I've met over the years through my business overseas.
Which of these international markets do you see experiencing the greatest growth?
The greatest growth probably right now is focused on Argentina. I see many of our customers looking for opportunities to get into Argentina to start fracturing service down there. The story I keep hearing is their very first shale well down there took the entire resources, or the resources of the entire country to come together. Many different companies like Schlumberger and Halliburton coming together to fracture one well.
So Schlumberger, are they a customer or a competitor?
Schlumberger is a customer. They're an oilfield service company, one of the largest fracturing service companies in the world, and we're proud to call them a customer.
But I assume you'll also go directly to the E&P company.
That's right. Actually, E&P companies have started a trend of investing in their own fracturing equipment to make sure that they get the equipment at their well site doing the job when they need it done so that they can more accurately predict the completion of those wells.
Well, you are not new to the energy business. Your family is not new to the energy business. Could you share with our viewers some of that history?
So I am not new to the business. I'm a fifth-generation Stewart. Our family founded Stewart and Stevenson over 110 years ago. It's now a private company. And my 13 years there were a great 13 years. It taught me a lot about the industry, taught me a lot about the cyclical nature of our business, what to do when times are good and what to do when times are not so good.
Well, again, extraordinary growth. Congratulations on the success. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you very much, Paul.
And that wraps our discussion with Jamie Stewart. We'll be back with more right after this.
The future is here.
You can't see it. It's electric.
At NRG, we're providing clean energy and now charging stations to make the electric car a reality. Kinda makes you want a boogie woogie, doesn't it? NRG, moving clean energy forward.
It's electric.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Paul Dickerson.
Welcome back to the Energy Makers Show. Our guest now, Robyn Knocke, a principal and founder of the Power Angels. Robyn, Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us about Power Angels.
Power Angels is a boutique consulting firm in Austin, and we focus only on clean energy, natural gas, demand response, smart grid, and then also the traditional renewables that you would think of when you think of clean energy.
So what triggered the idea to start Power Angels?
Well, I was in energy storage, and my business partner, Lene Shirley, was at Applied Materials in their solar division. And we just kept seeing, we became friends through Pecan Street, and we just kept seeing opportunities out there that our companies were not allowing us to go take. And it was frustrating to us. And so one day we're complaining, and we're sitting down at the table with our friend Pike Powers. And Pike goes, well, then why don't you start your own company? Stop complaining. And that's kind of how our name came about, the Power Angels, because Pike used to refer to us as his angels, and we got power as in power energy, power strong, Pike Powers.
Power storage.
And so it's kind of it's one of those names that you have to be very strong to say. You have to have a lot of confidence.
As you're assisting some of these companies, tell us about your value add and how you differentiate from the competition.
So what we do is a lot of market intelligence, and applying that market intelligence to the regulatory and legislative world, bringing in the enviros when needed,
right?
And then how do you enter the marketplace? What is your, kind of more of your go-to-market strategy? How do you position yourself so that you can enter the traditional energy world, which I think is the big gap right now for clean energy. Is oftentimes you talk to a solar company or a wind company, and they have no clue how the market actually works.
When does someone call Power Angels? What type of business, what stage of company?
We have clients that are nonprofits, Environmental Defense Fund, Pecan Street, so they're not-for-profit entities. We have startups that we work with from very, very early stage, and typically with those we take an equity piece in the company and then
right.
help them through those lean years, maybe even raise some capital for them. And then we also have a company right here out of Houston, AETI, that is a publicly traded company that came to us because they wanted to get into the non-traditional energy space.
So share with our audience, what is the Pecan Street project?
Mm-hmm. So Pecan Street is a DOE-funded smart grid demonstration project, and it's grown a lot since then. But what they do is they bring in technologies to install in 200 homes in Austin. It's all behind one substation, and they collect very granular data on how that energy is used at the residential level. They're also introducing 110-volt vehicles into the community. They have solar on a very large portion of those homes. Pecan Street brought us in. They were very early stage, actually. So what we did for them was help them figure out how they actually, you can't say go to market because they're not selling anything, but how they launch. How do you attract all of the companies that you want to participate in Pecan Street? So we're still doing that. We're bringing in a lot of new technologies for them to demonstrate in the 200 homes that they have behind one substation, so they can get all their granular data on how energy is used at the residential level.
All right, so tell me some of the clients you've been working with.
So I think Baryonyx Corporation is probably the best example of the services that Power Angels can provide. So Baryonyx actually started they had a very successful company in the UK. They're all English, and they saw an opportunity in Texas to do offshore wind. Commissioner Patterson is very open the Gulf to offshore wind.
Sure.
So they saw the opportunity, they moved here, but they knew nobody. And so they were told to hire the Power Angels, and they did. And we helped literally in a 12-month period introduce them to the people that they needed to know to grow their business. So it's not that they couldn't have built those relationships. They absolutely could have.
But accelerated.
We accelerated it.
Well, in Texas is different when it comes to offshore wind, right? I mean, we can, Texas owns more land
right,
off
it's
its
like
coast.
10.2 miles or something that we own off of our coast, unlike any other state.
Yeah.
Of course we do. We're Texas.
Right, absolutely. Well, Robyn, it's a treat to see you. Thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Thank you. And that wraps this episode of The Energy Makers Show, heard on the radio nationwide and seen right here at TheEnergyMakers.com. I'm Paul Dickerson, and we'll see you next week.